Michelle Ross is the CIO of StemPoint Capital, where she runs a biotech fund, and she joins us once again now. It's good to see you.
Very good to see you, too,
Reason
Scott.
to have a smile in this space.
I'll take it.
What do you think of what Krinsky says? Is it meaningful?
It's a very unique set of circumstances that have led us to this point.
Okay.
And I think what we saw even last week was pretty dynamic in the sense of how much some of these names traded up on the back of an announcement by the administration with pharmaceutical companies. In particular, this time it was Pfizer. And it catalyzed a lot of maybe potential negativity over the years, positioning being out of favor to really see some dramatic moves. The pharmaceutical complex was up 10% in 2 days last week, which we haven't seen in over 20 years.
What makes you think that it's not simply a moment in time, idiosyncratic based on what you said at the White House, but longer term, we got the same issues?
Yeah, there were so many issues that were facing the sector for a number of years now. We have had headwinds from tariffs to MFN, that's most favored nation drug pricing. We've had lack of pharma M&A and biotech being purchased. It really felt as though there were so many reasons to not invest in the sector as opposed to invest in the sector. And things have marginally started changing over the last few months. And it's really more not one single effect as it is the confluence of all these things coming together, including some really great to see M&A that is happening in companies that are pre-commercial. So we're seeing on that side of the ledger a lot of nice movement there as well.
And you think that's going to continue?
We do. We think that's going to continue in a meaningful way. But I do want to give the other side of the coin and say that in the context of the last few years, with very little M&A in the space, it's actually allowed some of the strongest new biotech companies to actually emerge as the leaders in the space. We had a group of companies that really led us over the last decade. We talked about biotech had a genomic revolution of sorts, and there were a core group of companies that really were setting the stage as what people in the broad market would look to as the leaders. In the last 2 to 3 years, you really did see a number of companies, new companies, that were seeing approval of new drugs, phenomenal launches, great growth, and they've actually emerged and have become, I would call it the new leadership that's emerged in the space.
What role do lower rates play?
It is something that, we had called out, many people have called out as, the move for not just biotech, but for the SMID-cap complex. There's been a massive underweight, not just in biotech, but I would say you see it in the Russell as well.
But that's your favorite, right? The SMID-caps?
SMID-caps are my favorite. There really is a fair amount, I'll call it like a coiled spring phenomenon, where you're seeing is that in the context of a lower rate cut environment, these companies can now raise capital, they can grow unimpeded in certain ways, and we're seeing it as those companies are releasing clinical data sets. The complete movement of the stock to the upside is more than many expected. That coil spring phenomenon really playing out.
Let's talk about, speaking of coiled springs, let's talk about a stock, Unicure. Is that what it is?
It is.
It's up 200% in a month.
Yep.
There must have been an event.
There was
an
event. So Unicure released 3-year data of their gene therapy program for Huntington's disease. And Huntington's disease is a fatal dominant gene. Ultimately, these patients have very few options for treatment. They were dosed with a gene therapy, and we showed a 75% reduction in the effect of that damaged gene to those patients over time. So you're seeing something for the first time that is truly unique and absolutely game-changing for patients in this space. You're seeing an actual effect to the disease happening.
So how does somebody that does what you do look at a chart like that?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that let's put it back up, guys, please. From the winter, it's in trial, and that's why it's a straight line across.
Yep.
And then there's a result that results in a move like that. Are you still staying in the stock?
I am.
You are. Why?
I am. So ultimately, it is a platform technology, what they are doing in Huntington's disease, and the total demand that will be there once this ultimate application is approved has tremendous potential, multi-billion dollars just in Huntington's disease alone. When you look at the valuation of the company, of the potential of what this could mean globally for these patients, it is still actually very attractive to be owning a Unicure at this point. And I think to your point on how do you time these, there's a cadence involved in investing in biotech, which a lot of sectors don't have. And it's the additional, component of looking at the space of timing when and how you think there's going to be a dramatic move or shift in the stock price.